Hello, hello. Welcome back to Catacorp Season 4. I'm your host, Jordan.
I'm your co-host Apollo,
We have
and
no
it's
guest today.
we have no guests. It's
It's
it's like it's like our first season, except I'm going by Apollo instead of my actual government name.
exactly. It's just the
Yeah,
original two again.
the
Uh,
original two back at it
Back at it.
with Marvel.
Anyways, back to the
Anyway,
episode.
back to the episode. Sorry
I
about right about the
no, no, no.
LGBT.
We were both doing it.
Um,
We were both doing it. I want to before we go further in this episode, I want to point out something.
yeah,
Did you notice?
the jar.
No, 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 no.
Oh,
We're gonna
okay.
get there. The freaking Thanos copter. It's a thing, and
No,
no one believed. You didn't
no,
see the Thanos copter. The Thanos copter
no!
is.
I gotta search that up.
You look it up right now while I'm talking about it. So it's after Loki. They stopped near the what looked like spaceships, which was weird. I didn't get that reference. If that was a reference, there were so many references in this whole episode, and I can name just about all of them. Of
Oh, I
course,
didn't even
there
notice
was
that. That's so
so
obvious.
so 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 before the Thanos copter, you did see a giant yellow jacket. It was enlarged in a enlarged helmet. A lot of people are saying it's a severed head, but I wouldn't say that. It's literally just like his helmet. Um, and then it pans off to the Thanos copter. And now a lot of people are saying that the Thanos copter is now canon with the MCU, and I'm like,
Oh
you could. No, no,
no!
no. There's that's like the best thing ever.
No, it's
No,
not.
no, no. It's
That is
so.
so cringe.
It's not even cringe. It's just so freaking funny, and it's kind of cool. To me, it's a little cool. That was the Thanos copter was like in I think either the golden age or the silver age of comics. Um, a lot of people would classify the silver age or the golden age as like 1930s to the 19 I think 60s. I might have heard that
Right.
wrong. And then the silver age from the 60s I think to the 80s. 80s to 90s or early 2000s would be like the bronze age. And then I know for a fact that the new age is 2012 to 2016 or maybe soon, maybe earlier than that. I don't know, but I have to find the panel where there's this panel where Deadpool has the gauntlet, where he steals it from Thanos without Thanos looking. Thanos is in the copter, and Deadpool's in the copter with him, and he holds up the Infinity Gauntlet. Deadpool says something really weird and out of place, and Thanos is like, "That doesn't even make sense." It makes the funniest face ever. I have to find it and show you. Um, I don't know. It's kind of cool to me, but a lot of people are saying that now the Thanos copter is, I guess you could say, canon. But I wouldn't even really say that because the whole premise on Loki, the TV show, is literally that the TVA have I guess you could say different alternate timelines, alternate universes with alternate Lokis and alternate people. So in an alternate universe, Thanos had the Thanos copter. In
Right.
the regular universe that we're affiliated with, you could say Earth 616. Um, he's just got that giant spaceship that we saw in Endgame. So I don't know. I think that was like the coolest thing ever. You mentioned the frog. Mention the frog.
Wait, was that a frog?
That was a frog. Okay, so
Oh, I see. I didn't see it for very too long. I just thought it was like a like a smaller version of Thor. I thought it
now
was.
you're not wrong. You see this
Well,
scene.
I thought it was like him shrunk.
Oh
But
no
yeah,
no.
you go ahead. You
Okay,
obviously saw something different than I did.
sorry. So I'm just like still a little freaking out just a little bit by the amount of comic book lore and references that I put in this entire episode. They got so much crammed in here. I'm very proud of them. Um, in there was this little scene where they go to the hideout and it looks like it's going underground. It's like an underground bowling alley kind of.
Oh,
Um,
that is a frog, ain't it?
it is a frog. So
Yeah, I'm
that
looking. I'm looking at the picture. Yeah.
now a lot of people are saying that it's not, but I think it is. That's Throg instead of Thor and Frog. It's Throg. Um, and there's a reference there where he's in the jar. He's trying to jump out of the jar and get to the hammer, which is like not even 5 feet in front of him. But he's buried underground in a jar. So, what was I gonna say? So if you remember from Avengers, the first movie, Loki tricks Thor into getting into that giant cage full of really thick glass that was built. Nick Fury said for people much stronger than you, hinting at Loki, or as he was talking to Loki. That was like a reference there. And someone said that they took the sound bite from Thor as he was trying to like run at the glass and put it into that little scene. You could hear him grunt as he like hit the glass trying to get to the Mjolnir. It was kind of cool. I also want to point out we were wrong in the last video. During the last video, we saw the end credit scene with all the Lokis and all. We were saying that was the Battle of New York where Loki might have won, but really, if you look at Avengers Tower, it's not Stark Tower. So yeah, like Tristan said, yes. So, and I even pieced it together too. I was like, you know what? As soon as they said it, I'm like, you know what? We were totally wrong. And then I watched the rest of the video. So.
Yeah, and then the rest of that video also stated, which I thought this is a very good theory, and going into it, I kind of believed it, was that this timeline was a timeline where actually Ultron won.
Yes.
And actually wiped out the Earth, which that was a really, really good theory, but unfortunately still wrong.
Wait. Let me, before you go further on that, let me counteract it real quick.
Okay.
I don't think it's wrong because if you remember... okay. Now
I think I know where you're going with this. Okay, yeah.
So... I thank God I have ADHD sometimes. Or else I never would have thought about this. So, it started out with Stark Tower in Avengers 1. Then you saw all the letters were falling off and the letter A was still standing. So then they made it into...
Right.
That's not the reason, but, they decided to make Stark Tower into Avengers Tower. Tony rebuilt it and everything. And then we see in the second Avengers movie, it's Avengers Tower and all. And it looks like it does in that scene on Loki. As we're in the very beginning of the episode, we're, going through, battle destroyed New York. So it's got to be Loki age, if not Loki age, or Ultron age, I guess you could say. If not, then I don't know. But it only makes sense that maybe like it might not even be where Ultron. It might not even be where Ultron won. It could just be. Maybe someone else killed Ultron, but like something else bigger than Ultron destroyed New York. But either way, that is around. It's in between. It's right around Age of Ultron because if you remember, you saw Far From Home, haven't you?
Yes.
In Far From Home, you remember hearing Happy Hogan. He's like, "We're getting everything out and we're moving upstate New York." And you remember he said that, and I think during Civil War. You remember seeing everyone. I think they were still kind of technically in the process because, Civil War came right before not Far From Home, Homecoming. So, you remember you saw the whole scene where Clint was battling. You saw Wanda being held basically captive by Vision, who was given orders by Tony to keep Wanda safe at the. I don't remember what he called it, but at the basically, upstate New York at the new Avengers base. So that's when they already had the base there, and then, in Homecoming they were moving everything. So, it can't not be Age of Ultron. What were you gonna say? Before I guess you realized that it wasn't Age of Ultron era.
Oh. No, so basically, I didn't have a theory after that. I was just once I realized that it wasn't, I was like, oh, let me just look at this. But it could have been. Eliath made it clear that this is a whole different place altogether. But I feel like that it could still be where Ultron won, and it was just like because they had said that they put entire worlds into this void.
Right.
So it could have been like, oh, Ultron won. And then they were just like, oh, well, this is literally too much of a thing to fix because literally Ultron's goal was to wipe out all organic life on Earth. So they were like, okay, we're just gonna have this as like a canvas. Like, okay, this is a blank state
That makes sense.
plate, and just throw it over here, and then just throw all our garbage at it, and put this monster on it. It will be fine. For that to have significance, I thought that maybe, going into the episode, seeing all that like rubble and all that, I thought that we were gonna be able to see like Ultron drones. If you
Ooh,
actually read the
that
comics
would have
to
been cool.
Age of Ultron, and that they'd be hiding from those
Yeah.
and all that, and that would have made it significant to how this place came to be. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. It's a whole different thing. So I don't think it even matters in the end game, pun intended. That
Okay.
whether or not that this is where Ultron destroyed the Earth or not. The fact is that the world that they're on is destroyed. It's.
That would have been cool to see either way.
Oh, it would have
I
been.
feel like that would have been too much CGI, anyways. I feel like Loki would have been like, "What the hell?" it could, this whole land could literally be one giant nexus because it's different things from different nexus events.
Well,
Like,
that's exactly what it is.
yeah. So like, obviously you have New York from Age of Ultron. You could say the helicarrier from Winter Soldier, where they were all literally blasting each other out of the sky. You did see Ronan's ship from the first Guardians of the Galaxy. So I want to point out that Eliath has actually always appeared in comics where Kang the Conqueror was. And no, I'm not hinting that he might be in next week's episode, because in actuality, I think he really might. But I just want to say, he is a thing in the comics, and he is
a thing in the MCU.
Comics. Yeah, he is. Well, he's MCU now, but I'm saying like in the comics.
Well, yeah, but it's confirmed. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's confirmed that he's going to be the main villain for the new Ant-Man and Wasp movie, the Quantumanium?
Yeah, Quantumania. Yeah. That's been confirmed since like last year. No, 2019's like E3, I think. 2019 is when they decided to unveil Phase 4. Yeah, so.
Okay.
But COVID happened, so we would have had this show last year, believe it or not. But
we've gotten a lot of things last year.
We did. So I just wanted to point that out, that he's everywhere where Kang is in the comics. At least like most of the time he is. So that's a possible hint that he might be in next week's episode. Unless they decide to
you
pull
think he's the big bad?
I mean, in my opinion, it's hard to not think that he is behind it all. Of course, I don't know any other villain with time travel abilities. So this whole episode, is based around Loki's. They're underground in their little fortress, and Loki's. They're actually telling war stories from their past lives. I think it's pretty cool. Boastful Loki's like, I did this, and I rose to the top with all 6 Infinity Stones. And then
then he said that he got he defeated Iron Man and Captain America.
Yeah.
Which is complete BS, because let's be honest, the TVA would have snatched him up before any of that happened.
You think so?
Before he got that far. He got that far.
But you realize that's a different Loki, so maybe that universe he was supposed to win.
All right, there's supposed to be one sacred timeline.
That's true.
So they're all supposed to be from the same timeline. So,
anyways, it could happen.
Well, what I'm saying is the period of time for him to get all the Infinity Stones after he defeated Captain America and Iron Man, the TVA would have showed up and been like, "Hey, stop," because it seems like the TVA just like shows up when you breathe the wrong way. You look right instead of left, and TVA just comes through their magic doors. Like, yeah, you gotta get. We're gonna throw you in the box.
The saddest thing that I heard, and I have subtitles on, and I don't know who else has subtitles on. I just have them on.
I did, but I didn't really pay attention to them. But go on.
So they actually did call the old man Loki Classic Loki, which I thought was pretty cool. Classic Loki was given his story. with the one with the comic book accurate costume.
Yes, yes, I love this story, but go on
Yeah,
and tell it.
his story. Well, I can't tell it word for word, but he was saying how everything in his life went exactly how it was supposed to, and I think he said something happened, and then he said he decided to just he met Loki. 616 Loki mentioned Thanos, and
For
classic Loki.
for all the people who are not really in tune with the comics, when Jordan says 616, we're talking about like
The main
the
timeline,
original
basically.
Loki, like the main timeline,
Yeah.
2012, our actual the Loki, the main Loki.
I think
But go on.
DC goes by 616 too, depending on which one you're reading. But
I don't know.
Flashpoint messes with my head too much, and I don't even know that much about it anyway, so it's not my
Anyway,
problem.
2012 Loki.
2012 Loki. He mentions Thanos, and he's like, he kind of faked his death. He made a illusion. He's more of an illusionist, illusion master than 2012 Loki is. From what it sounds like. So he makes this illusion, and I like how he put it. He said, "I made an illusion so realistic that even the Mad Titan believed it." I liked that line. I thought that was really cool. Mainly
Yeah.
because they referenced him as the Mad Titan, and that's his name in the comics. And then he said, I think he actually said that he did fake his death, or maybe he
He
didn't.
did. With the illusion, he faked his death.
Yeah.
His actual physical body he hid with the rumble. Basically, it was exactly what I thought would happen to Loki in the first place. So when I watched Infinity, sorry, not Infinity. No, yeah, that's Infinity War.
Yeah,
Infinity War and Endgame messed me up.
I thought
Was that whole little thing? Yeah, that whole little thing was all just an illusion because I was like, dude, Loki's not dead.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I was like, man, there ain't no way he can't. He died so many times,
Right, exactly.
and there ain't no way. And I didn't think that he disguised himself as rubble. I'm gonna be honest, but like I was like, dude, this guy made a illusion and then just screwed off somewhere else. That's what he did. There's
Yeah.
no way, and that was this classic Loki was the embodiment of that. But I'm going to let you continue telling on his story, how he lived on after that.
He said he lived for a long time on this random planet, and then he said he got bored one day, and he said, I also liked this when he said, I missed Thor, and I wonder if he missed me too. And he was thinking about going to see him. He also wondered if anyone else missed him. And then he said he was wanting to go see everybody. And he said before he even made plans to get off of the planet, that's when the TVA arrived. And I was like, damn, that's
it makes complete sense though.
It does,
because in the original timeline he's supposed to die, and if in that timeline it appeared as though that he died, and everyone carried on that he died, and he just went somewhere else isolated. He couldn't mess with any other thing in the timeline.
The TVA
time would have, huh?
I said the TVA knew that he was alive, but
they probably didn't. They probably didn't because it slipped through the cracks.
I'm thinking
because
because of the crisis.
Because exactly.
Well, you got to think, how would they have known exactly where he was? I think that maybe they knew that.
Well, the moment that he made the decision would have changed the timeline. Once he decided after so many years where he was supposed to be dead, that he was going to like interact with anybody really. Then the timeline started branching off, so they got to the point before it got branched off, and then took him.
Yeah, that makes pretty aneurysm. That makes sense. It sucks though, but that makes sense. I remember Loki got into a little bit of an argument before they got to the hideout with Kid Loki, and he was like, "What was your Nexus event, Little Prince?" And he said, "I killed Thor." And I said, "Damn."
I did too. I whispered it. I was like, "Damn." This kid really. All right.
Loki did something that he wanted to do when he was a kid. This kid Loki did what 2012 kid,
It
2012
yeah, I
Loki as a
think
kid.
that would change a lot.
That would change so much, and you don't even
So,
want to go into it.
of course they
It's
snatched him
so
up.
much, of course. Um, and yeah, so then we have Sylvie, and she's Renslayer is actually her name in the comics. And the reason why I think that maybe she knows exactly who's behind everything, in actuality, I think she doesn't, and I think she does. Maybe her mind has been altered because she too is a variant. And
Right.
maybe she's slowly unlocking memories herself, whereas they had Sylvie to do that for them with those two guards. So I'm thinking, maybe she's slowly unlocking memories herself, or someone's unlocking them for her behind the scenes. If it is, and so happens to be Kang the Conqueror and Renslayer had a bit of a relationship in the comics. Like Kang cared for her and vice versa. So maybe he put her at the top of the top. You know what I mean? Maybe somewhere down the line she came in contact with him instead of the three, and he told her everything and made her the top of the top. Because remember, before she was just a soldier of the TVA, a guard, I
Right.
guess. And then
Like a grunt.
A grunt. She was a grunt of the TVA, and then eventually she was promoted. So maybe they had a relationship. I don't know. I like to think of different ways that the MCU could change it up, because they do change things a little bit, but they try to keep it comic book accurate, which I appreciate. So
Yeah.
there's a bunch of different theories, but the craziest thing I didn't expect. She ended up pruning herself because obviously she didn't want to get captured, but not before she took her time pad. And I was like, okay, so they might have a chance to be able to get off, but first she's got to find Loki. And the coolest thing happens. This car, as she's being chased by
Eliath.
I'm just gonna have you say it from now on. As she's being chased by Eliath, this car, this like pizza delivery car, comes out of nowhere, and I instantly had a thought of like, dude, what if it's Mobius? And he unlocks the door, and she gets in, and she's like, "It's you," and he's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, I'm so happy that he's not dead.
I'm happy too. After like Loki woke up, I'm like, oh, there's hope that Mobius is alive.
I thought that
Mobius could be alive.
But at the same time, I was like, that can't be that easy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they.
I thought it was just a random dude. In my mind, it was some random dude, and I was like, I made the same joke that Mobius did, or I don't even know if it's a joke, but statement. Whereas what she got in the car, and he was like, "Oh, you got to be careful about like jumping into strangers' cars like that." And I was sitting there as she was running to it. Before that happened, I was like, "Dude, like I get it. You're running from this giant smoke monster, but at the same time, it's kind of sketchy."
It's kind of sketchy.
That they just want you to jump in the car. And Mobius made that joke moments afterwards. I'm like, oh, okay, so that wasn't just in my head.
I think it was funny how she was telling him how to drive. She was basically backseat driving, and then he was like, "So you really are you?" That was funny.
Oh man, yeah.
What else happened?
They messed up.
What?
They should have put her in like a snow area and have Mobius come in with a jet ski.
Oh no.
Wait, is a jet ski?
That was a snowmobile.
I get confused between snowmobiles and jet skis sometimes. Never mind.
Okay.
They should have put her in the middle of the ocean.
Oh no, Tristan.
And then have her come in on a jet ski. There you go.
Jeez. So, after this whole escape from the Tristan.
Eliath.
From Eliath, after the escape from Eliath. Then we get back to the little hideout. Loki was about to escape, or not escape, but leave because he was like, "Yo, this is BS. I'm done here." He had the bright idea to maybe kill Eliath, to figure out, how to get out of here, and that maybe he had the bright idea. They both have the same idea that Eliath was the key either out of there, or she had the idea that maybe he's the key to finding out who's really behind everything. They both were right. So obviously he was asking for help. They laughed in his face. He left. He comes back with like more Lokis, obviously ones that meant harm. And that President Loki was also a comic book cover, where Loki actually was running for like president. It's really weird, and I don't know, like, it's really weird with comic books that, like, I don't know if that's like an issue or if it's like a thing that happened with, like, within a storyline, like a solo series. I don't know, but as far as I know, there's not really like many Loki solo series. I don't think there's really any, but correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments, because I would love to read a Loki series. I think it would be great. Obviously it wouldn't be something like this, but I do like Loki, and I'm glad that they gave him his own TV show in the MCU. But anyways, so here he is. Some stuff goes down because everyone's like betraying each other. Boastful Loki turns into a dick and ends up betraying. Apparently, Kid Loki is the prince of like that whole area, or the king of that whole area. So Boastful Loki's like, "I'm sorry, I'm betraying you. Now I'm the king." And then President Loki's like, "About that," and they all turn their swords towards him, and he's like, "That's not the deal." And then one of the men, they all turn on President Loki, and I thought it was funny because everyone started turning on each other. And this whole fight breaks out, and Loki's just trying to shimmy his way out of the whole fight. And then they finally get outside, but not after we see classic Loki use some of his powers to manifest, I guess you could say, illusions, but like ones that you could actually like touch. Because
right.
Loki's illusions, you kind of just like fade into, if you remember. A bunch of the times where he would just cast his illusion spell and it'd be like hollow or transparency or transparent. So I don't know, but it was pretty cool to see that. Also, I wanted to point out, did you see that alligator like chop off President Loki's hand? Like that was pretty graphic. I didn't expect that.
For Disney, I don't expect it, but for Disney it definitely was.
Oh yeah, for Disney,
unified.
It was a surprise.
Because it was more like dumbed down. Because if someone's losing a hand like that, they're like spouting out blood and all that.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely was. But I remember we said the exact same thing in like season 7 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. They were doing some pretty gruesome stuff in there too. I was like, this is a kid's show.
Speaking of, now that we've seen that produced from Disney, there was no reason why Rey couldn't lose a hand or something.
What are you talking about?
She's claiming to be a Skywalker, yet she's given no limbs.
I know.
She's given no limbs. And I thought maybe, Disney just doesn't want to have severed limbs in the films. Cool.
But wait, did season 7 come out before or after episode 8?
What?
Or episode 9, I'm sorry.
I'm not talking about... I don't know.
Couldn't lose a hand. There was no reason why she couldn't lose a hand.
There's no reason, because they would have turned her into... We're going on a different tangent.
Anyways,
we're gonna spend like a good 10 minutes trying to figure what we're saying here.
Anyways, okay. So they're out of the hideout. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So they're out of the hideout. They meet up with Mobius and Sylvie.
Yeah, and I like how like ecstatic Loki was. He was like, "Holy crap, Mobius!" And he's like, "Wait."
Yeah.
I don't remember what he asked, but he was like, "Wait a minute, something's not right here." I don't remember
Yeah.
why he said that. I think because he was with Sylvie or something.
There should have been a Lightning McQueen in that universe as a
Dude,
variant of
he
Mobius.
should have been driving Lightning McQueen. Is what
That's what
should
he
have been
should have.
doing.
Yes, that's what he should have done. A red race car.
or
Oh,
or
they Disney, you messed up.
do you
You
remember
had
instead of making it like that, they could have had like Lightning McQueen stickers on the car that he was driving. Or
something.
or even not even that, they wanted to dumb it down even like smaller. They could have done this, like all those little like coin slot machines where the animatronics would go up and down and you ride them. They could have had one as like a Lightning McQueen one that you would ride and they would go up and down, up and down. You know what I'm saying?
You would have been even like more simpler.
Huh.
Is after when they escape from the Goliath, is he just turns to Sylvie in the back and just says "Ka-chow," and then continue on with the episode. It'll cost you nothing, Disney.
I think this is the last episode that we're gonna see of Owen Wilson.
Mobius.
Yeah.
Maybe because
maybe I hope not.
Because the thing is, it's first of all, it is about Loki and it's following Loki's narrative, and it seems like that they're gonna go face.
He's pretty important.
He definitely is, but at this point, it looked like that they gone on their separate paths. However, the other thing is, this could be a reference to Ragnarok. Here is that it seems like Loki and Thor went on their separate paths, never to see each other again, and Thor went off to Asgard to face Hela, and then all of a sudden Loki showed back up at Asgard.
No,
so this could be
that?
like the same. This could be like a same thing, where as Mobius and Loki say their goodbyes, split apart in their own separate ways, and then Mobius just shows back up because it honestly would make sense because they're going after the timekeepers or whoever's behind the timekeepers of the TVA. They're still, even though that they're separate from the TVA, they're still doing something that's relevant. Yeah. It's still tied in with the TVA and it's still relevant to the TVA.
True.
So. And I don't know what Mobius plans on doing. He said, "Oh, we're gonna go burn it to the ground." And I'm like, "You're just one dude."
I love that he said
I
that
loved
too.
it. I loved it, but at the same time, I'm like, "What are you planning on doing?"
He said he was gonna alert everyone about what's been going on, and I'm like, they deserve to know. But at the same time, there was a scene where, so you saw Ravonna go to talk to B-15, and she was in some kind of holding cell. And I remember, and I actually agree with what Ravonna said. She said something along the lines of, the people, B-15 said, the people need to know the truth. And Ravonna said, no, the TVA needs, support or something like that. Basically telling everyone, keep in the lie, to keep order. And it made sense because, you're going to have just a bunch of chaos. People are going to be asking questions. You don't know how to answer those. You don't even know yourself, right? So I actually agreed with her in that moment that the people shouldn't know the truth unless you have the truth, more or less. But obviously in her case, I don't think Ravonna was going to tell anyone ever, anything ever. Unlike B-15 and Mobius, they eventually want to tell people the truth. So I actually agree with her on that point that the TVA needs support for right now, and that's what they're gonna get, and that's what she said. So I actually agree with that. I don't know about you, but it makes sense. So then after that whole thing, they leave. I actually love that scene where Loki hugs Mobius and he's like, "Thank you, my friend," or just "Thank you, friend." I was like, damn, like his one friend, like, the one person that didn't die, or he backstabbed or anything like that. Like that's his like first friend, basically. I would say besides Thor at the end of Ragnarok, because I think they really like honed their relationship at the end of Ragnarok, but
yeah.
But, there they are. It's just Loki and Sylvie, and they're getting ready to fight the monster. And, she mentioned that she was going to enchant the monster. What's the monster's name again? What's the name?
A Goliath.
Goliath. That she was gonna enchant Goliath, and so basically Loki's trying to distract Goliath while Sylvie grabs a part of the cloud or smoke or whatever, fog, whatever, and she grabs a hold of him, but can't keep a very good hold of him. And then Goliath's like, "Oh, you're trying to do something," and then he goes after her. I also want to point out that knife, that flaming knife, was actually supposedly the weapon that Loki had in the comics. Like Loki always had daggers. His actual comic book accurate weapon was that flaming dagger that Kid Loki gave him. I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't know that at first. But now I do. So
yeah, that thing was like a small sword.
That thing was just
it was
long
pretty
enough
cool
to be considered a sword. Yeah, that was cool. So I think Japanese standards, that would be considered a sword. Here they are enchanting. So here they are enchanting Goliath. And she said something about how before, when she came in contact with him, that she enchanted him a little bit, and he kind of showed her like some kind of memory that he had, of like some kind of castle or something. And
right.
They bring that out of him, but not before they had a lot of help, a really big distraction. You saw classic Loki come out of nowhere. Because they were supposed to be fleeing the crocodile Loki, or alligator Loki, forgive me, classic Loki and Kid Loki, and they're just walking away, saying their goodbyes and all. And then classic Loki comes in and literally pulls like the biggest illusion probably of any Loki. He pulls up all of Asgard out of nowhere. I thought that was like probably the coolest part of the whole episode. Probably my favorite part of the whole episode too.
I wanted to tell you, like, hey, like I tried to put over voice chat, or I was like, hey, you realize what he's conjuring up, right? But I knew that you took off your headset anyway, so
yeah, I saw that. That was like really, really cool. Like I said, that's probably like my favorite part so far. And
I think my favorite part would have been all the Lokis fighting each other.
That's kind of fun.
That was
It's cool to see different forms of him too. Like a couple.
Oh, it definitely is
comic book accurate. And then the saddest part, he finally loses his power after like summoning Asgard like twice technically, because I think the monster kept eating it away and making some of it disappear. So he kept like conjuring like more of the buildings to come back, and then he finally loses it, and then he's like looking at the beast like dead in the eye, and he just yells glorious purpose as his hands are glowing, and he's like laughing, and he's like, he knows that he did a good thing. Because I remember they had this little talk with Mobius, Kid Loki, Alligator Loki, and Classic Loki, while Sylvie and Loki were outside having their little moment, talking about a plan. Mobius said something about how he was gonna tell everyone the truth, and Classic Loki said you would destroy the very thing you kind of pulled like an
what?
He kind of pulled like an Obi-Wan. He said like something along the lines of, you became the very thing you were.
You sought to destroy.
Yeah, but that's not how it went. I don't know where my mind was, but he was destroying the very thing that he was trying to protect, I guess is what he kind of said.
Yeah.
And then he said there's always there's never a bad time. Voice crack. He said there's never a bad time for change or something like that. And then it looked like it really got to Classic Loki's head. He was like, wow, it's really deep. And it's true. So, he kind of took that to heart and did what he had to do and sacrificed himself for the better good. What's the saying? Sacrificed himself for the
greater good.
Greater good. He sacrificed himself for the greater good. So, you know. So
Yeah,
that was kind of sad, but
it was sad, but at the same time, and also you have to think that him him dying, I guess, would have like the way he was supposed to die,
there was nothing else to
inspired
do,
Thor.
anyways. But
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is would have inspired Thor to, um, kill Thanos even more.
oh yeah,
And at some point, what I mean? But knowing, and yeah, that still happens, but the fact that he didn't actually die kind of put a damper to it. Like, he knows that he didn't actually bleed for that purpose.
right.
So when he got his different ending to his story by being eaten up by Eliath, just so that the other Lokis can, enchant him, that was kind of like, sacrificing himself, even willingly this time,
Oh yeah,
to,
definitely.
do something good.
Yeah, that was like pretty deep. um, so the episode basically ends with them finally enchanting Eliath and opening this giant doorway to this other zone. I think they explained it as um, Miss Minute and Ravonna were talking to Sylvie in the beginning of the episode, kind of. Or midway in the episode, and she was talking about how there was this zone as time was literally being made. Because time is always being made, or like events are always being made, stuff like that. Um, that they showed like the whole sacred timeline, and that there was this big like blob at the end of it, that's where the end of time was, but it's always being made and altered, so it's not really the end of time, you know what I mean? So it was a little weird, but it kind of made sense when I didn't obviously give a good explanation of it, but you just have to watch the episode and you don't know what I'm talking about. But so I guess you could say that technically what's happening right now is just time being made in that whole nexus area. That's also what they were also kind of like talking about. And I remember Sylvie was saying something about how we'll just go through it. There was no way that you could use the time pad to get to it because there's no time to latch onto because time's always being made. So I remember she said something about we'll just go right through it. And then Ravonna was like, that's suicide. And I don't remember what she said after that, but I think this area is like beyond what Ravonna was, or Sylvie was talking about. So we'll just have to see exactly what it is in the next episode. So that's just where the episode ends. This episode was really, really good. It was probably one of my favorites. I wouldn't say my most favorite. I think episode 1 was probably my favorite because there was that whole scene where Loki was getting all emotional and everything, and learning that he is emotional. He was learning stuff about himself, So
Right.
what would you rate this whole episode?
Oh, definitely 9.5.
I probably agree with you there. Yeah. So it had so many references. It was so good. Okay. Well, that was that episode. Do you have anything else to put in, Tristan, or no?
No, not really. Just I'm excited for next week's episode, and
Yeah.
I didn't realize until like a half hour ago that next week's episode is literally the last one of the series. So
It's a shame, yeah. So next
Yeah.
week's episode, make sure you guys tune in. It'll be the last episode of Loki. Not, of course, it'll be the end of the season for us, but there will be more seasons. Don't worry. So you just watched episode 5 of season 4 podcast Chaotic Corp, Loki. Thanks for listening. You can sometimes we stream on Twitch from time to time.
Twitch.tv/HotPocket61. You can find me at twitch.tv/ApolloYourKing. Yeah, you can also find us at the YouTube channel at Chaotic Corp. Do not follow. Well, I don't want to say do not follow, but we're not the other Chaotic Corp. We're gonna have a logo soon, so I don't even want to say like, oh, you'll see like a little laptop with a pop next to it. And that may not be the case when you're listening to this. We're gonna have to find some kind of logo, which we plan on doing at some point, but that's going to be released in a video that we talked about the future of the channel and all that pretty soon here. But yeah, this has been the Chaotic Court podcast.
Thanks for listening.